Hey, Cammy, what floats to the top?
Well, Nikki, I think that fat floats to the top, but also all of the interesting and wonderful little tidbits and pieces of information that we learned at the Low Carb USA Symposium for Metabolic Health, which we just attended in San Diego down at the lovely Wyndham Bayside. Oh my God, we had such a great time. Nikki and I was there, and Kay was there, and Catherine was there, and all kinds of other hundreds of other people there. And we had a great time. We learned so much. And we just released another video talking about our favorite couple of speakers. But we're just here today to talk about kind of like what floated to the top for us as far as key takeaways and things that we're going to be implementing in our own lives and talking to our friends and family about. That's another thing I'd really want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to start, Nikki, or do you want me to roll off?
Up to you, baby.
Well, I'll start. One of the things that I really want to do for myself personally is get an MRI of my abdomen without contrast, where they'll go high enough to catch a little bit of the heart. You can do it, through, I gotta find this while you're talking about something else. Remember, it was like, there was some website that you go to and they'll help you order it on your own because the, doctors will not write the order for it, but you can order it on your own and it can vary. I think Catherine and I were looking for it and found one in San Diego for like $266, which is really cheap. But they can be as high as $500 or $800 to get these MRIs to look at your visceral fat and the inside of your body to see how much fat is sitting there around your organs. And so I'm interested in doing that. You know, part of me is like, well, it's not going to really change my management. Here, I found it. It's radiologyassist.com. So I'll put that as a link in this video, radiologyassist.com. You can go and order your MRI of your abdomen without contrast and look at your visceral fat. And that kind of gives you an idea of where you're starting from. And then you can implement, different lifestyle changes like what Sean O'Meara recommended, which is what I'm going to do, which is, well, he talked about a paleo diet, but I'm going to have a ketogenic diet. I'm going to eat fermented foods. I'm going to do my sprinting in my exercise plan, and I'm going to get out in the sunshine a little bit more, which will be easy for me in San Diego. For you people living in Oregon and Washington State, good luck. Good luck with that. But that was one of the things that really stood out for me. And that's one of the things I'm interested in getting for me and suggesting to my families in our monthly newsletter that I'm going to start generating, talking about ketogenic health. What about you, Nikki?
Well, as far as tests, I do have a subscription plan to get DEXA scans, and it does tell me approximately how much visceral fat I have because it does
Mm-hmm.
scan me. But they
Mm-hmm.
did indicate that those are not always super accurate. So to get that scan is helpful. And it runs about $500, give or take. But Sean O'Meara did tell us that you can negotiate that with whatever provider is near you. So don't be afraid to ask. But he said, make sure you do go to like the person who owns the clinic or who's a little bit higher up. Don't ask just the person at the front desk because they're not going to know how to do that. And then
Right.
and then the other thing was the heart scan, the coronary artery calcium,
Yeah,
CAC.
the CAC, coronary artery calcium scan, the
Yeah,
CAC.
so I kind of want to get a baseline one for myself because I've never had one, and then my husband has never had one. So I think that would be good. I'm in my 40s, he's in his 50s, so I think that would just be good to get like a baseline of, what we're looking at. And then from what Dr. Lily Johnson says, you can kind of know where you're at and then get that either yearly or if it's really bad, you can get it more often if you're going to actively, work on things. So
Right. And just to remind you that the coronary artery calcium scan looks at the calcified
plaque.
plaque in the coronary arteries. So it doesn't look at that soft plaque, which is underneath the calcified plaque, which is a plaque. The soft plaque is the plaque that falls off and goes into your arteries and causes all kinds of mayhem and heart attacks and those kinds of things, as opposed to the calcified plaque. But getting an idea of the calcified plaque gives you an idea of how much underneath soft plaque is present.
Yeah, thank
So
you for explaining that because I I guess from what I understand, if you get a baseline score, I mean everyone will probably have something. I mean, even if your score is 0, I'm sure there's a tiny, tiny, tiny minuscule amount, right? But, if you know that you're like a 2, 3, or 4, like you know that you have some work to do. Is that correct?
right, ideally you want your score. I believe it's less than 100 is best. Less than 300 is not too bad, but over 300, you might want to start paying attention to some things to do, or maybe do some more invasive testing to look further.
Yeah. And there's the more detailed one, the CIMT, but that one, there's not a whole lot of technicians that are trained to do it. And it's a little bit more expensive because they do zoom in and like measure in what is it, millimeters? It's like super tiny.
Yes.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
do a even more detailed look at your heart and even more blood vessels and things like that.
Well, they do that in the carotid arteries. That's the carotid artery in your neck. It stands for carotid intimal media thickness. And it's actually scanning your carotid artery in your neck. And that is something that you can do if you have higher risk, I think is what you need to do. Lee Johnston, who's here in San Diego, where I am, who spoke at the conference, is really good at doing those scans. And I was going to ask her, hey, I have a coronary artery calcium scan done. I had mine done, and I have a little bit of calcification in my right coronary artery, and my score is 73, I think, 73 or 75 or something. So I have a little bit of it there at 63 years old. And I'm not too worried about it because I'm on the progression of better health. So I think my increase in numbers will go slower because of the changes that I'm making in my life. But I was interested in asking, I didn't get a chance to talk to her and I really wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So I just
anyway,
felt like those are good, scans or, things that you can do just to get a baseline if you've never done them before.
yeah. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was about sleep. A lot of people at this conference talked about sleep and how important it is for your body, for your mitochondria to regenerate, for your brain cells to have time where they can re where they can kind of decompress from all the processing that they've been doing all day long, trying to filter out all of the things that come into the brain at once, and how the brain works so hard all day long downtime. And one of the things that I walked away with was how I'm doing a pretty good job with my sleep, because I go to bed generally around 9:30 or 10, and I wake up around 5:30 or 6. And that's what they recommend. They recommend to go to bed around 10 o'clock, same time every day if you can. So even on the weekends, I tend not to sleep in very much or stay up too late. But, I'm old. I'm not out partying anymore or delivering babies at all hours of the night. God only knows what that's done to me long term. 7 to 9 hours is ideal. And you do want to try to do it at the same time every day if you can. Of course, try to ease into your night with, no screens and, quiet time, and get yourself to sleep in a good way. But I thought that was really interesting how so many of them talked about how important that sleep is.
Yeah. And to go along with sleep, they also were reminding us about stress because so many people, like you were saying, are doing all the things that get on a low carb or ketogenic or even carnivore plan. Get your exercise, become this like marathon runner who does all these endurance stuff, do all the things, and yet you're still stressed. You're not going to be metabolically healthy because that stress produces all those, molecules in your body that are just like telling your body, like, I'm not okay. I'm not feeling good, makes the cortisol go up and everything. So even if you're doing everything right or you're making a great attempt at it and you're not addressing your stress, it's like we're losing the plot, so to speak, right? Because we have to look at those things. And I remember one of the speakers, she was like, it might mean that you need to leave a marriage or a job or move or look at relationships, really tough relationships with friends and family, and draw some boundaries and have some hard conversations. And she's like, I know that makes us all cringe, but our health depends on it.
Yeah, really good point, Nikki. That's a really good point that you bring up. And I think that goes along, also when they had the panel at the end, they had a panel with, I don't know, 7 doctors up there maybe. And it was really fun to listen to the questions that came through on that panel because as Nikki was talking about it before we were taping, a lot of them were questions that came up about, you got to know the speakers a little bit better because they gave their take on certain questions. And so you got to learn a little more about their lifestyle and a little more about what their hangups are and a little bit more of what their personal lives were like. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I was telling Cammy, it was so funny. I thought there was going to be all these scientific sort of probing questions, and like things kept going around to like how Mike always talks about, well, how do I get people to do this? Like, and then, like, how do we do this every day? And then they were talking about their own experience with food addiction, sugar addiction, carb addiction, whatever you want to call it. And these are really, really intelligent people that just had all these great presentations. And they're telling us, yeah, I can't be around French fries around my family. Like it's just too much temptation. And one of the other girls talking about how she had to do breathing techniques and she follows Mel Robbins now because the 5 4 3 2 1 thing helps her. And it's just like, they do this stuff too. We're all in the same boat. We're all working our journeys and working our programs and doing this lifestyle, together. So I thought that was just awesome.
Yeah, super fun. All right, everybody. We hope that you would be interested in checking out this conference. It's put on by the Symposium for Metabolic Health. It's every August down in San Diego, and they tried to do it at Coronado one year, and we all had an uproar. So now it's back at the Wyndham Bayside, which is just a wonderful, fun place to hang out every August. Hopefully, you'll consider coming down and hanging out with me and Nikki.
Yeah, that would be super fun. And it's right next to the Midway and the beach and, just tons of stuff downtown to do and places to walk and everything. So it's a good time. And we have dinners every night with the speakers and all the other conference attendees. So it's kind of heartwarming to be with your tribe and everyone's eating the same food that's all metabolically healthy and we're all just talking to each other as people. And it's just really, really fun.
And then at the end, it's sad, because the 4th day you kind of know everybody and you're all hanging out together and then you have to all go home and live and work again. But, yeah, really good time. So check it out. I'll see if I can get the link in there as well as that radiology. What was it called? Radiologyassist.com.
Yeah, and
All
who
right,
knows?
everybody.
Next year we'll have a No Sugar Nation booth.
Oh my God, we should. That would be so cool. I would love that. We could do a poster on something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All right, everybody, take good care. Thank you,
All
Nikki.
right. Bye, Kim.